Switch 2 fever is underway, and Nintendo fans are certainly hyped to get it. And what's not to like? We have a 4K console, new hardware, new Mario Kart, new Donkey Kong, and way more surprises to kick off this new generation. I know I was really hyped watching the Nintendo Switch 2 Direct and seeing all the games that were coming out. Mario Kart World, Duskbloods, Kirby Air Riders, Deltarune Chapter 3 and 4, GameCube support, and my absolute favorite, Donkey Kong Bonanza. But for all my excitement of the Switch 2, there's one lingering problem. The Switch 2 is expensive. I know that's a generalization, and you probably could say that about any gaming console on the market now, but the press for the Switch 2 has been nothing but bad news, as it shows gamers will have to fork over a decent chunk of change for the next Nintendo console. People are saying how the Switch 2 is doomed, how it's going to be a failure, how it's going to be the next Wii U. So I want to talk about it. Is the Nintendo Switch 2 going to send us to the poorhouse? Is it really as bad as the internet says? Let's find out. Let's start with the console itself, which at the time of recording this is $450 for the console itself, or $500 bundled with Mario Kart World. And if I'm being honest, I feel the price of the system is pretty fair. This console is a huge improvement for the original Nintendo Switch. 1080p in portable mode, 4K in dock mode, HDR, a bigger screen, 256 gigabytes of storage, way more storage than the Switch 1's 32 gigabytes. Geez, how did I survive without a micro SD card for so long? It has magnetic Joy-Cons. Hell, even the system itself looks cooler and more high-tech. It not only looks the part, but it has the specs to back it up. Some of the games previewed look absolutely incredible on the new system. Look at these comparisons! It's so weird to see these games are playing on the Switch 2. Although the games are a problem of their own, but we'll get to that later. All things considered, with the Steam Deck having similar storage and being $400, and not even having a dock to go with it, $450 is a price I can get behind. Sure, it can be expensive for some, being $100 more than the Switch OLED, but there's still a lot of bang for your buck. Although it may get more expensive? Pre-orders for the Switch 2 were originally scheduled for April 9th. But thanks to tariffs in the United States, they have been delayed indefinitely. I don't want to get into the politics of it all because this isn't the channel for that. But with how the tariffs are on again, off again, it's hard to say what move Nintendo is going to make moving forward, even to this day. For a good week or so, people were thinking they would raise the price, and theoretically, they still could. $500 I still think is a fair price, but honestly, any more would probably turn people away. Hopefully we won't have to worry about that now due to current events, but we won't know until pre-orders go back up again. If they do by the time this video is getting edited, I'll post an update here if things change, which they hopefully will. I want to pre-order this dang thing. While I was editing this video, Switch 2 announced pre-order dates. The pre-orders are happening April 24th, 2025. And the price hasn't changed. Still $450 for the console and $500 for the console with the Mario Kart bundle. And the games are still $70 or $80. That hasn't changed. However, the accessories have gone up in price. I will be sure to go into that a little more later. But so far, everything's still the same price, at least for launch day. Nintendo did announce that, hey, depending on how things go, we may need to change the price later. Fine. I get it. So I'm happy we're going to get it on time. I'm happy we're going to get it at the price advertised originally. The only thing is, you may want to get it sooner than later, as it could increase in price as days go on. With the whole tariff situation going on. That's what could happen. You also may want to hold out on accessories, or at least be more selective on what accessories you get. I was planning on getting all the ones I can, but now I may just get select ones like the camera and maybe Pro Controller if I feel a little spendy that day. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, pre-orders have a date, and I'm a lot less scared now, so However, the console itself isn't the problem for a lot of people. The main problem is that the games are expensive. The Switch 1 titles average $60, with Tears of the Kingdom and I think Mortal Kombat being the exceptions at $70. So when we saw games like Donkey Kong Bonanza for $70, that wasn't a huge surprise. It stung, video games are more expensive, but it was a logical leap we could sadly see coming. However, what really took us by surprise was Mario Kart World, a launch title for the Switch 2, is $80? And yes, I say $80 in the US digitally and physically. There are rumors still going around that physicals would be $90, but right now, there's no official word on that being real. I think this is what shocked people the most. Not only to people saying on social media that they'll never buy the system, but even when they had the Treehouse Live, the chat just had people spamming, drop the price, drop the price, drop the price, especially when they played Mario Kart. While I don't think that was the right way to go after Nintendo with Mario Kart, I do agree that it is ludicrous. $70 was already a hard pill to swallow that a lot of gamers were begrudgingly used to because of PlayStation and Xbox. But just going straight up to $80? A move made by Nintendo, whose fan base is used to being the affordable option? Yeah, it was a shell shock, and I can see why so many people are upset. So is that it? Does that mean the Switch 2 automatically shares the same fate as the Wii U? There's still some things we don't know about Mario Kart, seeing as it's getting its own direct before this recording, so it might be worth the price tag after that. Hey, me, update random again, and the Mario Kart Direct happened, and nothing happened that made it worth $80, at least in my opinion. It's nothing that we didn't already know other than a few other things, but mostly it was details of stuff that we already knew about. It honestly didn't feel like a Direct, it felt more like an overview trailer, just really going into the details of Mario Kart World. And there was some cool stuff like the rewind feature, the fact that the camera can be used, so you can use the camera for a game during launch day. But overall, I don't think there was something that was worth $80. If anything, Nintendo clarified that the bundle is worth it. Get the $500 Switch 2 bundle if you can, because that's what's going to be worth it here. Because Mario Kart is absolutely worth that. And I'm going to talk about the bundle right now. One could argue that you can just get the bundle, perhaps. The bundle of the Switch 2 with Mario Kart packed in, that's $500. So that would be a $30 savings, and I'm sure that's Nintendo's attempt to soften the blow. There's two problems with that though. One, the deal is apparently for a limited time, so that $30 bargain won't be there for long. And two, the bundle is digital, at least in the US, so physical enthusiasts, like myself, may not be happy with it. The digital future gets closer and closer every day, and sure, it's just one $80 game. Donkey Kong Bonanza is $70, some games are showing up at retail as $60 like Street Fighter 6, or even cheaper. Split Fiction is announced to be $50. I think Bravely Default is $40 on GameStop listed. If we're being fair, it's obvious not every game Nintendo is putting out will be that lofty $80 price tag. But it's a scary precedent. Doug Bowser said himself that it's going to depend on how the development of the game is, and it will be priced accordingly. Some games with more time and more effort may be priced higher than others. That sounds like a reasonable enough thing to ask, but here's the problem. Nintendo games almost never go on sale. Sure, there are special occasions like Mario Day or Black Friday, but Nintendo's not nearly as accommodating as its competitors are. That leaves consumers asking what other games will be $80. Is $70 going to be the new average? Will we suddenly have a bunch of $90 games that never go on sale? How expensive will Grand Theft Auto 6 be? All right, that last one's not going to be on the Switch 2, but the question's being asked. Which leads to another problem. How much do you have to spend to get the optimal Switch 2 gaming experience? Updates are great, am I right? Hey, update again. I was just originally gonna make a segment about how expensive the Switch 2 was to get everything, and then I recorded it all, and guess what? Nintendo changed the price of accessories, so I gotta redo the whole thing all over again. So I'm just gonna do it here, just to make things easier. So let's say you get the $500 bundle. That's technically a discount with Mario Kart World, That's where you get a good start. Let's say you want to get the Pro Controller. That's $84 now. An extra pair of Joy-Cons, $95. An extra Joy-Con grip, $40. The wheels for Mario Kart World, $25. The camera, $55. An extra dock if you want that, $120. Carrying case and screen protector, $40. The all-in-one carrying case if you want to travel your Switch 2 around, $85. The extra AC adapter, $35. The micro SD card, $60 if you want to get the 256 gigabyte pack. Probably more if you want to get more storage. And that does not include the Nintendo Switch Online expansion pass of $50 a year, combined with games that range from $40 to $80 in price. And all that combined gets you... What was the thing I used in my script? A very empty bank account with having ice soup for dinner. And while things like the tariffs aren't Nintendo's fault, you know what is? Their lack of communication. It feels like they deliberately hid the price of their console, whether it be because they were unsure of the future or because they were worried about backlash. And that leads to customers digging around to find anything on their own, which causes confusion and anger when they finally get slapped with the bill. Combine that with the fact it felt like some sources were coming from the site, some were coming from retailers, some from this article, this interview, this place, that place. What is actually going on here? You know, the communication is almost as bad as it was with the Wii U! And yes, the price and a lot of details were on Nintendo's website. I know that, and you know that. Look, I don't want to be mean when saying this, but a lot of people, especially in the US, would rather just read a headline and assume it's true than do some digging on their own. This is especially prevalent in the age of social media, and I don't want to get too deep into it, but it is one of the main reasons we're getting confused on prices, such as the $90 physical myth, or other things like the key card situation of games not being on the cartridges, which is untrue for first-party games. The rumor that physical upgrade packs are just Switch 1 cartridges with a download code in the box that was debunked by Nintendo themselves, and the claim that the GameCube controller will only work for the GameCube games and no other Switch games, even though that disclaimer mentioned was used in the same trailers for the other Switch Online controllers, and they work just fine. Hell, I use my NES Switch controller for Nintendo World Championships, and that worked fine. The Switch 2 is getting a lot of criticism for sure, the price being a big part of that, but it feels like the internet is doing what it does best. Clickbaiting. Finding any reason to be upset, whether it's article writers, social media gurus, or YouTubers, everybody is attempting to cash in on the controversy. You could even argue I'm doing it right now, although I don't like it. I think Nintendo is trying its best to handle damage control, but I feel it's almost too little too late, as anything they say, people seem to find something to use against them. Take Doug Bowser's comment on the price. We recognize that there are some people that may not be able to afford the Switch 2's price point. That's why we wanted to make the other Switch platform available, so people still have an opportunity to come into our gaming universe, be part of these characters in these worlds. On one hand, that makes sense. Doug Bowser is trying to come across that, yes, if you're worried about the price, we're still going to be supporting games for the Switch 1, so you won't be missing out if you don't decide to get it. But what people took from that was, hey, you can't afford a Switch 2? We have a Switch 1 for that! You're poor. I know a lot of people are comparing it to that one Xbox executive quote from a decade ago, and while I feel that guy's tone was a lot more sarcastic, Doug Bowser was at least trying to offer up a better solution. I think the quote got taken out of context and became a headline piece for rage-baiting people. Sound familiar? And yeah, I do see why it can be interpreted as a bad thing, and it does seem a bit out of touch, and if I were him, I wouldn't have said anything about the price to begin with. I don't know, interviews can be a little rough, even if you know what you're gonna say and have exactly what you have in mind to say. The best PR answer may still not be the best answer, but that's me giving him the benefit of the doubt here. I'm sorry, that was a whole separate tangent. I can go on about this, but I won't. But this leads to my main question. Is the Nintendo Switch too expensive? To that I say, the console, as it's priced right now, is fine. The Switch is a technological powerhouse and should be more expensive than the first one. From the handful of showings to the trailers, it looks like it's going to be a fantastic system, better than people even expected. The games are the most troubling point for me. Honestly, $80 Mario Kart is just ready to be the first domino for what's gearing up to be the new norm for game prices moving forward. It's no wonder the internet is outraged. And yes, even as a die-hard Nintendo fan, I think $80 is an insane jump. I hope Nintendo decides not to push their luck with future games at this price point. But who knows? If I'm going to be the voice of reason right now, it's been 2 weeks after the system has been revealed. I think things are a bit overblown right now. Nintendo may prove me wrong a few years down the line, but I really don't think it will become similar to the Wii successor. And this is coming from someone who loved the Wii U. Give it a rest already! But even with all the confusion, the price challenges, and everything going on, I still feel the Switch 2 will be more successful than the Wii U was. The games look really impressive. They have a solid launch line up ready to go, and more coming shortly after launch. Nintendo is also going hard with third-party support, like Split Fiction, Street Fighter 6, and even Cyberpunk 2077, with reports from the developers that Switch 2 is a much easier system for them to work with, which was a huge challenge for the Wii U. The Switch 2 is already doing leaps and bounds ahead by comparison. I'm no expert, and I might be a bit biased as a Nintendo fan, but I genuinely think that the Switch 2 will sell well, as long as certain tariffs don't get in the way of that. It's just a lot of people are antsy because they can't get their pre-orders yet, me being one of them. This frustration seems to have a lot of people latching onto things to get angry about, either for clicks or just for the sake of being angry. I guarantee a lot of these loud naysayers who say they won't buy it will be picking up a new console on release date. It happened with Pokemon, it happened with numerous other games, and I wouldn't be surprised if it happens here. Still, Nintendo needs to be careful, as they are pushing their luck a bit with the average consumer and an $80 price tag. Customers can only spend so much, especially in these economic times. And while I feel the games are worth a lot, it adds up quick and could turn off a loyal fan base. It's weird seeing them go from the affordable choice to doing something more on par with other platforms. And while I am all for it, I can see why people may be skeptical. If $80 is the exception, not the norm, things shouldn't be as bad. But otherwise, gaming is about to get a lot more expensive. Those are my thoughts on the Switch 2 and its price. I totally understand if you are getting one, and I totally understand if you aren't getting one. Either way makes total sense, and I'm not gonna judge you for whatever choice you make. But whether you get one or not, know I'm going to, and I'm gonna probably make content about it on this channel to see if the games are worth it or not. But what do you think of the Nintendo Switch 2 pricing? Let me know in the comments below. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm gonna watch the trailer for Donkey Kong Bonanza over and over again. Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. If you like what you saw, be sure to like it, leave a comment, and check out my other videos too. Special thanks to all the people who helped me out with the video. I couldn't have done it without all of you. Also, an extra special thanks to my Patreon patrons, including Mantelferox and Savacom. If you'd like to join the Patreon, the link is in the description below, along with my Blue Sky, Twitch, and Instagram. Thank you so much, and I'll see you all in the next video. Have a good night.